Business now from Stephen, something that would affect that. In fact, the price of oil, a potential deal to stabilise the sector, Stephen.
That's right. Russia and Saudi Arabia have agreed to freeze oil production levels if other countries follow suit. They now want others, including Iraq and Iran, to make similar commitments. It's a controversial subject. The Emirati energy minister just earlier today refusing to answer questions on the subject. The agreement to freeze output is the first significant deal on supply levels since November 2014. Its aim is to stabilise prices, which have slumped by 70% in less than 2 years. Let's see how oil is trading on the markets today. Down slightly. We had seen this huge gyration in the oil price yesterday after that deal was announced. First of all, up and then down sharply, but trading down today about 0.7%. Oil at just under $33 a barrel.
Is it affecting the stock markets?
Markets don't like uncertainty, and this is an uncertain time for oil prices. So we are seeing some movement, particularly on oil and gas shares in Europe today. Total, for example, in Paris down by 2.5%. Generally speaking, though, European shares trading up at the open. Over in Asia, we'd seen falls on most of the Asian markets in trading today. Just Shanghai managing to eke out some gains up over 1% there. The Nikkei finishing down 1%. That's after 2 days of gains on the Japanese markets.
Now, forget everything Stephen was saying about oil. This is the real crisis we're going to be telling you about now. Here in France now, the brewing crisis. This is over croissants.
Yes, terrible. An increasing number of bakeries in France are choosing to buy part-baked frozen croissants to sell in their bakeries. It's already a booming industry for supermarkets and canteens, but still somewhat of a taboo subject when it comes to local bakeries. Thomas Waterhouse explains.
Straight from the oven, mouth-watering and dripping with butter. If you're a fan of these Gallic gastronomic delights, you might be in for a shock, though. Most of the croissants and pain au chocolat devoured in France, 3/4 in fact, are now actually mass-produced in factories.
Good morning. You want a pain au chocolat and a baguette?
From the counterfront of this bakery in Clermont-Ferrand, you'd be forgiven for thinking everything has been made by hand on site. But at the back door, the pastries arrive daily by the truckload, part-baked and frozen.
It's not more profitable, but it's much easier. My croissant and pain au chocolat are always there, stocked in my freezer. I don't employ an artisan baker, but if I did, and he or she was ill, who would replace him?
Sales of industrial pastries to France's 35,000 boulangeries have rocketed in recent years. As well as stocking supermarket chains and hotels, more and more independent bakers are coming to this wholesaler to buy in bulk. But the idea of doing so is almost considered blasphemy among the French baking community. So much so that this one didn't want to reveal his identity.
I would need to hire an extra person to make my pastries on site, and it just takes too much time. And with regards to the price-quality ratio, buying frozen makes me about the same amount of money as someone who bakes from scratch.
Cost-effective and time-efficient. For a growing number of France's traditional boulangeries, the idea of buying frozen is far from half-baked.
Well, from that burning issue to some more of the day's business headlines for you now. France's Crédit Agricole says it's going to simplify its structure in an effort to boost investor confidence. The bank's currently made up of 39 regional lenders, which it holds 25% stakes in. Under the €18 billion deal, those stakes will be transferred to a new company under the Crédit Agricole banner. Net profits at the bank rose by more than 40% in the last 3 months of 2015. Its shares opened up 5% in Paris today. China's OK Airwaves is to buy 12 Boeing 737 planes worth $1.3 billion. The deal was announced at the Singapore Air Show and is subject to the approval of the Chinese government. Also in Singapore, Philippine Air agreed to buy 12 Airbus A350s worth $3.7 billion. And the rum maker Bacardi has called on the American authorities to reverse a decision granting the Cuban government rights over the Havana Club brand. Bacardi's been selling rum using the brand name in the United States for some 20 years, but in January, the US Office of Foreign Assets Control granted the trademark to Cuba. Bacardi is now appealing that decision.
Stephen, this bulletin is scandalous. You've got another scandal for us now. This is the latest version of Monopoly, which has been updated, just a little bit anyway, to reflect modern payment methods.
Yes, a revamp of the classic board game will now include an ultimate banking version where people will buy property and pay rent by using a credit card machine instead of the traditional paper notes. It also allows for property values to rise and fall to reflect the changing values of the property market. I can only imagine what a property bubble in Monopoly looks like. We were talking about this earlier with Hala, is that,
Ridiculous.
you know, in Ireland, Shrewsbury Road is the most expensive address on the Monopoly board. But wherever it is, could you imagine all of a sudden it could end up being the cheapest?
Up and up and up, or down and down and down. You never know. Yeah, okay, another scandal. Thank you, Stephen. Stephen Carroll with Business on France 24.